Hey guys, JetsTakeoff. Today I'm going to be talking about all the unrestricted free agents on the Jets, who I think we should re-sign and who I don't think, so let's just get right into it. So the first guy is wide receiver Brashad Perriman. This is a guy who we brought in the past offseason to replace Robbie Anderson, but right now I'm going to have to say no, I don't really want to bring him back. He was inconsistent. Some games he performed well, like in the New England Patriots game I thought he did phenomenally, but then against the Browns, I didn't like his effort levels, especially on that one deep pass. And I'm not so sure it's the right move to bring him back. It depends on the contract. If you can get him on a 1 year, maybe, I don't know, $4 million deal, I'm down to bring him back. But he might demand a little bit more because he did end up with around 500 yards, but I don't think we should re sign him. Now, the next guy is cornerback Brian Poole. This is a guy we definitely need to re sign. Brian Poole is arguably our best player in the secondary alongside Marcus Maye. And if he wasn't a cornerback, our cornerback room would be horrible. I know Bryce Hall had some flashes, but I mean Brian Poole, he's elite. He's one of the better slot corners in the NFL. And he's tweeted about the Jets too on game days and stuff. Like when we won against the Rams, he was hyped up. So this is a guy who he likes the team, he likes the Jets, and we should definitely bring him back. And then the next guy is Bradley McDougald, the guy we got for the Jamal Adams trade. And I'm going to have to say no. I was very unimpressed with Bradley McDougald. And Ashton Davis is sitting behind him on the depth chart. And I think Davis should be getting the starting nod next season. I like what he brings to the table with his physicality, with his football knowledge, and he plays with fire. And that's something we just didn't see from Bradley McDougald. He was a letdown, and I don't think we should bring him back. That takes us to Jordan Jenkins, and I don't really know. I'm going to be 100% honest. I like Jordan Jenkins. He's a good guy, but his production definitely dropped off this past season. Now, he's still good in the run game at containing the edge, which I really like that. It's underrated. But, I mean, we need to get after the quarterback. These guys have way too much time sitting in the pocket. It can't happen. So, I wouldn't really bring him back unless we could get him on a cheap deal. That's the key, is a cheap deal. I would like to bring him back only if that, but I don't want to be paying more than $5 million a year for Jordan Jenkins. I just don't, and I think we could upgrade it in free agency, whether it's a Yannick Ngakoue or someone else. Next guy is Neville Hewitt. This is a guy who stepped it up this year. I was very impressed. Now PFF isn't that impressed, but I am. He was a baller. He was all over the field. He was asked to cover wide receivers in a Tampa 2 defense. I mean, I remember a few times where he was like tail to tail with a wide receiver that tried to blow past him, and his coverage is okay. I like him in coverage, and he's a guy that goes to where the football is. He's not afraid to make tackles. He had around 100+ solo tackles, so I think we should definitely bring him back because tackling was an issue on the team, and he was very good at tackling. It's something that's underrated, and I think he would be a very nice complementary linebacker to CJ Mosley if we do decide to retain him. So I do want to bring Neville Hewitt back. Since we're sticking with linebacker, Pat Onwuasor, I'm going to have to say no. He didn't really play at all for us this year, and I like Blake Cashman more as the third linebacker on the depth chart. He's a lot cheaper too, so that plays a big role. And then that takes us to safety Marcus Maye. We have to re-sign Marcus Maye. We cannot let him walk. We cannot. If we let Marcus Maye walk, we are going to have a huge hole at strong safety, and it's not okay. Marcus Maye was arguably our best defensive player this year, alongside Quinnen Williams. We can't let him go. He played at an elite level this year, and he struggled at times. The 49ers game, he really struggled then, but other than that, he was pretty good. I mean, the Seattle game, he was playing man coverage against DK Metcalf, and he mossed him basically for an interception. This is a guy who is a vocal leader too. He took over Jamal Adams' role as the leader in the locker room. He has a lot to say. He's a captain. He's been with us for a while, and it seems like he does want to come back here. So we should definitely bring him back. It's going to take the most money out of all of these guys, but I think it is something that we have to do, honestly. And putting the injury history back in the past, he was healthy for all of the season, and he played at an elite level to where we just can't let him walk, or our secondary might be even worse than it was this year. The next one is very interesting. Quarterback Joe Flacco. And I liked what I saw from Flacco. I'm not going to lie. Outside of that first Miami game, he played very well. I mean, the Pats game, he was straight up throwing dimes. And against the Chargers, too. I think we should bring him back, though, because he's a seasoned veteran, and he did well with us. I mean, it's not a bad idea. He has ties to Joe Douglas, so Joe Douglas will probably want to bring him back. But the one thing I could see getting in the way of this is James Morgan and Mike White, because Joe Douglas spoke pretty highly of both of them, and it makes me think that we're not going to retain Joe Flacco. And Flacco kind of wants to be a starter in the league, so he might go seek an opportunity somewhere else. But I'd love to bring him back. I think we could get him on another 1-year deal for around $5 million or something. But Joe Flacco is a good backup. Next up, we got safety Matthias Farley. I would bring him back just as a depth guy. He played towards the end of the season because we had a lot of injuries, and he did okay. I think we could get him on a cheap deal, maybe a 2-year, I don't know, something under $3 million total. I think he would be a solid depth piece at safety. This one's controversial for all Jets fans here. It's running back Frank Gore. This is a guy who we hated seeing, not because we hate him, but because we wanted to see P run. And I'm going to say we should not bring back Frank Gore. I think we should let the younger guys be the running backs on the team. Guys like Josh Adams, guys like Ty Johnson, Pirine. I expect us to draft a running back too in maybe the 2nd or 3rd round. It's not really worth bringing back Frank Gore. I know he's a great leader, but I wouldn't necessarily be mad if we brought him back, only if he doesn't get so many carries, because we got young guys. We got to develop our own talents and not just have a 38-year-old running back being our bell cow. It can't happen. It just can't happen. It was so infuriating. We got another interesting one too right here. Guard Pat Elfline. He is kind of the Alex Lewis of this year. I think Jets Talk 24/7 said that, but he really is. He was a late pickup by Joe Douglas, and he stepped in for Alex Lewis because he was dealing with off-the-field issues, and he did okay in my opinion. His PFF grade isn't too nice to him, but I was watching every snap of every Jets game, and he was very good in the running game. The running game is something where he flourished at, and he got a lot of push forward alongside Mekhi Becton. That's why we always ran the ball to the left side, is because of Mekhi Becton and Pat Elfline. And that says something about Elfline's talent as a run blocker. But I think we might not bring him back just because we might upgrade the interior offensive line in the draft, because overall, Greg Van Roten on the right side played pretty well, and that leaves left guard as the expendable position. So we might draft a guy like Wyatt Davis or another guy in the later rounds. I'm not sure Joe Douglas will bring him back, but I would not mind bringing him back on like a 2-year, maybe something $3 million a year. And I don't really want to pay more than that though, because he's shaky in the pass protection game. Other than that though, I like him. I think he's a good guy that we should definitely consider bringing back. Let's get some of these guys out of the way. Tight end Daniel Brown. I don't want to bring him back. He's not really an impact player. In tight end, it's really not as bad as we think it is. I mean, Gase misused Chris Herndon and especially Ryan Griffin, but I mean, we have depth there. Wesco is not bad too, honestly. So I'd cut ties with Daniel Brown. And Bryce Hager, linebacker, I don't want to see him back. We saw him a little bit towards the end of the season, and he struggled immensely. His PFF grade is terrible. And he is no impact. Let's just be honest. Ross Travis, I don't even know what position he plays. I think it's tight end, though. But the fact that I don't know, he's not an impact player. It makes no sense to bring him back. Now that we're done with those guys, we got cornerback / safety, Arthur Millett. I want to see him back. I think he plays with fire. He plays with intensity. He wants to play. And we want players that want to play. And last year, he was okay at cornerback. I know he was our cornerback too, and our secondary last year was pretty damn bad, but he did okay. I'm going to be honest. And we saw him play safety in the Browns game, and he did good. I'm not going to lie. I think he's a depth guy. He's definitely not a starter, but he's a very good depth guy. If someone goes down, I think he can step in there and play okay. So we should definitely sign him to like a 2-year, maybe something less than $2 million a year. I think that's fair because he's not really going to get much more, but I think he does have some value as a backup. Another guy who I think has value is outside linebacker and edge Terrell Basham. This is a guy who I think we definitely should bring back. Now, is he putting up crazy sack numbers like 10 sacks a game or anything? No. Did he play bad though? He didn't. I thought he played pretty well at outside linebacker. He's more of a defensive end, but I think we should bring him back because if we go get a complimentary edge rusher in free agency or in the draft, I think Terrell Basham can be a 10-sack guy. I mean, our D-line is dirty already at getting after the quarterback. Guys like JFM are mad underrated, and Kyle Phillips, even though he was hurt. But I think if we get another guy on the edge, we're going to get a lot more sacks because Terrell Basham is not bad, but I want him back. He fit well under Greg Williams' defense, and he did okay under Frank Bush too. He had 2 forced fumbles in the Browns game. I like him. I definitely want us to bring him back. That brings us to Trayvon Coley, a guy I honestly don't know about, but I wouldn't bring him back since I don't know him. And Josh Andrews, please don't bring that guy back. No offense to him, he's probably a good guy, but I hated watching him play. He was horrible. He was getting just toyed around in pass protection. He wasn't good in the running game either. I don't want to see him back. He's older too. I don't even want him as a depth guy. I mean, I was unimpressed a lot. So with the running back group we have, Josh Adams is a free agent. I would probably not bring him back, but it's not to say he's terrible. Whenever he was in the game, he'd find a way to get yards. I don't think he's a good runner, but I mean, he found the holes and he hit them. He was good at getting yards, and I think he's an okay power back. I don't think we're going to bring him back, though. I think Ty Johnson and LaMichael Pirine bring more value than him. Anyways, Frankie Luvu, I'm going to say no. I like Luvu. I mean, I always hear his name on the broadcast, so that's a good thing sometimes, but I don't think it's worth it. I don't think he's even that good of a backup. He's not good in coverage at all. There's just not much value to bringing him back, in my opinion, so I wouldn't bring him back. Bennett Jackson, safety, wouldn't bring him back. He actually has no impact. He's a backup safety, but, I mean, we never really saw him. Harvey Langi, interesting guy. We all know what he did against the Patriots on Monday night. He did well. But I really wouldn't bring him back either. The only exception is if we could get him on a cheap $1 to $2 million deal and only use him in blitz packages. He is awful in coverage. Like, really, really bad in coverage. It is terrible. He got Darren Waller. I know he's a top tight end in the league, but he could not cover him at all. I think Langi could be good in blitz packages, kind of like Gerard Davis. I think he could be exactly like him because Langi plays with fire. I like that. He's physical, and I think he could get after the passer, but I don't really think that he has any role anywhere else. We got 3 more guys on the list, so let's just knock them out. Wide receiver Vincent Smith. I'm going to say no. I liked him last year. I thought he was okay with us last year. He scored our first touchdown ever since week 1, so that was an excitement, but he didn't really do anything this year. He only had 1 catch, and he was more of a Gase guy on running plays with the wide receiver, end arounds, but I wouldn't bring him back. Jeff Smith, I probably wouldn't bring him back, but I wouldn't be opposed if we did. He's fast, and he did play quarterback in college, so if we want to run some trick plays, it might be worth keeping him on the team. It's not a bad idea. I'm going to say that. And yes, he's not good as Perriman, but he could be a deep threat. If we work on his route running, I think he could have some value on this team, but it's going to take coaching. And I don't really know. Let me know what you guys think. But last guy, Kyron Brown, don't know how to say his name. Didn't see him in any games. I would not bring him back. He doesn't have an impact on the team. He doesn't really have a future here. That's going to wrap it up. All of the Jets free agents, who I think we should bring back and who I think we should let go. So let me know what you guys think. Any and all comments are appreciated. And thank you all for sticking around this far if you're seeing this. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you stick around because I do want to build something special here, just like the Jets are building something special. So let me know what you guys think, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.